Welcome to Bridging the Gap. Fathers, sons, daughters, and the art of becoming. What stays? What changes? These are hopeful stories for each season of life.
Welcome to Bridging the Gap. Fathers, sons, daughters, and the art of becoming. What stays? What changes? These are the hopeful stories of each season of life. Views, stories, and ideas shared on Generations in Conversation are based on our personal experiences, research, and honest curiosity. We are not licensed therapists, medical professionals, or trained theologians. The conversations on this podcast are not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you need mental health, medical, or spiritual guidance, please seek support from qualified professionals. We aim to share, learn, and grow together, but always encourage you to take care of yourself and consult trusted experts when needed.
Welcome to Generations in Conversation. I am Simba Tirima, father, scientist, sometimes a storyteller. And for this hour, your co-traveler.
And I am Gitari Tirima, his son, a builder, a curious mind, and a professional prompter, always asking questions, maybe too much.
That's true. I will not forget the questions that when you were a little kid, you asked, everything was, what is, what if, why, and sometimes, of course, it was a little bit much. But actually, looking back, this is what life is all about: curiosity. And sometimes, as we age, as we calcify, and don't laugh at me, I know you will, because what do they say? Over the hump, over the hill. Yeah, you can say that.
The bell curve of life.
The bell curve of life, right? Yeah. Maybe now it's a point of diminishing returns in life. I don't know. We'll have that conversation. But of course, I don't always have the answers. This is our space to explore what really stays and what changes as we move through our life's seasons. We are recording from Nairobi to begin with. Sometimes it will not be Nairobi. Sometimes maybe it'll be Nigeria as well, because I hear rumors that somebody has found something in Nigeria. We'll look at that. But wherever you are in the world, pull up a seat. Let us talk.
Yeah. So I think it's good for people to really get to know who we are and what we're about. So I grew up with my scientist dad, who talked about lead and water. I remember actually once doing a presentation on this for a competition, and with great research just directly from the source, I managed to win a few medals there. So thank you for that. And what was the meaning of justice? I think we've also a few years ago went to Uhuru Awino with the lead poisoning that was happening there as well, and just really seeing that has been a big impact. But throughout all that, I've also been trying to figure out my own life, trying to figure out my own way, what I want to stand for, what I want to do, what questions I need to answer now and which ones I will continue to struggle with. And honestly, it's been really, really fruitful and interesting for us to go through our many cycles, which we'll talk about, and to be sitting here today and having these discussions.
This is great. Yeah. And maybe because, as I said earlier, at 57, I'm still learning, right? Again, what a interesting opportunity for me, and an absolutely singular honor to have these conversations with you and to learn from you. It's you can't even imagine. At 50, this is 60 minus 3, and I'm still learning, right? I've worked across continents. Yeah, I've seen both joy and heartbreak. And I've watched whole communities rise and sometimes fall, right? I myself, I have been to the mountaintop at one point. I hit rock bottom, to a point of destitution, right? Very interesting. And there have been seasons in our stories too, Tari.
Indeed. Some
painful, some healing, and now somehow a new season. I spent years thinking I needed to have it all figured out for you. And now I realize the best thing I can offer is to walk with you, to listen. As much as I speak, I'm a talker without borders. And to keep asking questions together.
Mm.
And we've had moments. Just, last night you had your engagement party. Correct. I said we'll be vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
Right here. And, well, in my sort of absorbed state, I had interviews, whatever the case might be. And I thought, well, tomorrow, yes, I'll go to this thing. And I received messages, a couple messages. Hi, we're here. And I look at the location, actually, I say, well, this looks like there's music happening there in my head. I can't make it tonight, right? Only to hear from you. And I'm like, oh my God, here I am again. You know what I thought about? I thought, well, I failed you again. And of course, the self-flagellation starts.
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want us to get into those. This will come.
No, it's true. Because even the day before, this was a surprise for my to be, and I had to form a story and make sure that things were ready without directly saying it. And I waited. I left things too late. And I could tell she was extremely upset with me. Because I told her the day before, hair's out, nails have not been done. And she's working. So I said, tomorrow, you're going to have to park some things and go do this. And that car ride home was quiet. It was very quiet.
Why did you do this without telling me?
Yeah, exactly. Why would you spring this up as a surprise? And, it hurt me hard. It hit me hard because I'm like, I could have done better. I could have done this differently. I could have.
Or self-flagellation.
Of course.
Oh my God.
And just catching that again, you have to learning to identify. Oh, I know you. We've been here before. This doesn't take me somewhere where I need to be.
Wow, that is powerful.
And what did you said you went on a walk?
Yes, I went downstairs and walked around the classic let me walk it off, but it was not walking it off. It was saying, yes, I see you. I see your self-condemnation now. I know who you are. You are all too familiar with me, right?
Mm.
And you will not get me anywhere. I need to go. And I need to go and apologize to my dear son and say, listen, I have no excuse. I'm not going to make any excuses for this. I missed it, right? But I cannot change the fact that I missed it. What can I change? What happens next? Oh, I like that.
Yes. Yeah. And so, I mean, we're getting into the vision of this podcast. That's a little snippet of kind of how we want to go through, not just having a how to live better podcast, but we want real conversations, messy, thoughtful, honest, vulnerable. We will bring in a lot of science. You are a scientist. We'll bring in a lot of faith and tough questions on the faith, because at least from what I believe, there's no life without God, and we'll break that down. But it's gonna be great. We'll share stories from here in Nairobi, from Africa, from the world, and I think it's gonna be a really interesting and fruitful journey for not only ourselves but you who are listening.
Excellent. Yeah, and we will challenge each other. Sometimes disagree, and that is beautiful. Because if we all thought the same way, let me tell you, we would not be on this earth. Would have destroyed ourselves. I wouldn't go back because I'm tempted to start talking about some of the things that we'll talk in the future, because you're a prompter. You're a professional prompter. The moment you open that mouth, you actually are setting up a context in a way that actually prompts you to start thinking, oh, yeah, and say, oh, I didn't see that. So I don't want to go there. Now you've prompted me already. I'm already too excited. And I want to talk about the entire podcast until the end. No, we're not going to do that. But we're going to challenge each other.
Indeed.
Clearly, we will not be selling easy answers, right? We are not snake oil salesmen, right? Hakuna story za jaba. But we are inviting you into a space where it's okay to wonder, to doubt, to hope, to grow, no matter your age or where you're listening from. Remember, what stays? What changes? Right?
Yeah. So then let's just do it. What is one thing you wish you could have told your 26-year-old self? I am 26 currently, so I think that would be really interesting to have that conversation.
Yeah, I think we'd started a long time ago, some kind of discussions. My 30-year-old, you used something.
Oh yeah, talking to myself 30 years in the future.
Right. Yeah, we're back to that, but
talking to myself in 30 years. That's what it was.
Okay, I remember a little bit. Yeah, you can tell that. Yeah, there's a bit of cognitive decline, but we're still here. So I'd forgotten exactly what that was. It was beautiful, actually, very beautifully crafted. And the question that you ask is important. One thing, I just finished my assignment in Nigeria. And for the last 4 years, I was country representative for Medicine Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, representing a huge organization in Nigeria, thousands of people working for MSF, delivering these services, very complex sort of context, a humanitarian context in many ways. And, in a place of leadership, and given our propensities to self-flagellate, our proclivities to
self-sabotage.
oh yeah, that too. Oh, now see, you're prompting already. Where do I go from there? Yeah. Given that, somebody asked me a question, and this is very similar to the question that you've asked me. In the past 4 years, what did you learn? And I told this person, listen, I cannot answer that question right now. Give me a couple of days, let me think about it. And I thought about it. And I came back. And the answer was very clear, unequivocal. I learned to be kind to myself. This individual was shocked. What do you mean? We will talk about that later. Also, this is part of our podcast. But you won't be less of yourself also if you change your mind. A wise person changes their mind. Some of the things you think are certain now will become your best questions later, right? And you, Tari, what would you want to tell your future self? Maybe when you are 57, maybe 31 years from now.
Yeah, 60 minus 3. If he's out there, I hope he will be.
I pray so.
Yes. Live your life. I think not trying to fit into any mold. And we've had this conversation around stereotypes severally. Not trying to put yourself in a box or somebody else's box. Be cognizant of who you are becoming. And we actually had this conversation at the engagement party last night, and we're talking to each other and saying, we feel like we've changed so much over the past 2 years, 3 years, yet remained a lot the same. And I think it's that peeling back the layers of all these things we try and pack onto ourselves to reveal who it is you really are. So these changes, it might seem like you're going far away from what you thought was initially true, but really you're cleaving and you're cutting away, you're polishing, you're sanding, you're shaping it into who you already are, just making that more clear and more defined. So, keep pushing towards that definition of being free, actually, I think, and not boxing yourself in.
I think you mentioned something very interesting to me, or two or three things that I hear from you. One, you mentioned stereotypes.
Yes.
And when we think of stereotypes, and you actually made this land quite in an interesting way for me. When we think of stereotypes, we think of we stereotyping others. But you actually, in your conversation here, or in what you just said, we can stereotype ourselves.
Oh, definitely.
As well.
Definitely.
And that's a big, maybe, if you please, stumbling block in terms of our ability to grow and to become, and to let go and to let come, right? And the idea of letting go and letting come is what you've also mentioned, peeling the layers, because there's something there already. And we'll talk about this in our subsequent conversations. There's already something there. You're peeling those layers, right? You're sanding, you're removing, you're letting go so that you can let come. Very, very, very interesting, Gitari. And thank you for that. And you also said you have grown, you have changed a lot, yet you have remained the same in some ways, right? Your true value has remained the same, right? That is what doesn't change, right? Maybe everything else changes.
I think it does. I do think everything else can change and should change.
I like that. Can change, and should change. Are you suggesting that change is inevitable?
I am suggesting that you can try not to and see how that works out.
And wow, yeah, right.
No, definitely. And in this change, I think one of the things that we've learned together is how expectation affects your change. You shared with me a really interesting podcast a few months ago, and that had David Robson, rather, who wrote the book Expectation Effect. And I've read that book, I think, twice now. I've shared it with some friends as well, and it has changed my life and their lives because it gives you very clear pictures, definitions, and examples of how our minds affect our reality, our physiological reality, and tying that into the Romans quote that we speak about. Actually, this was the quote I used when, or the verse I used when I got baptized, which is, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." That the Bible had this way back when, in the state of your mind, the state of your expectations really have an effect on how you move through life, how you experience life, how you change, and how you grow. Yeah, what prompted you, or how did you find that, and what was your takeaway or impact?
It is clear to me now that science is catching up with the old writings, the scriptures, right? It's clear that what we expect influences what we experience, right? And how did I even arrive at that? Yeah, and I go back again, when you read that verse, Romans 12:2, it I'm not going to. I have to be careful. The theologians might come out and completely dress us down, right? But I'll say this: there's no salvation without the renewal of your mind, in the sense that you really have to believe, and that is a change of mind,
Indeed.
right? And this is what, in many ways, has led me back home. And of course, we listen to a lot of podcasts. Some, I mean, it's a bit crazy how we gravitate toward the same things. It's uncanny, and sometimes I worry about it. I'm like, oh, what? Yeah, including your voice. If in fact we were not very careful, mine has a slightly a higher register than yours. Yours is much deeper, right?
I don't hear it from the inside, but I'll take your word for it.
No. But it's there, but it's clear that as we've listened to some of these things and read together some of these books, and we share a lot of books, and we'll be talking about those books that have transformed our lives, that really changing your mindset will change your reality. And what you've said is that it really began to transform how listen, in my field of study, I knew what placebo effect was. I knew what nocebo, placebo in nocebo are two opposites, right? Placebo,
to do good.
Yes, it does good. If I give you maybe something and I tell you this is a tincture that will do something to you or feel a certain way, we actually have research that shows that this is actually with sometimes 100% that happens. You feel that way. So because you expect that. Nocebo is the opposite of that. You expect side effects. You say, well, if you take this thing, man, this will it'll make you feel miserable. You will feel miserable. Nocebo. So placebo and nocebo. So we learned about that. But to us, and this is a faith-based, or not based. This is, the foundations are faith. The foundations are science. And we actually are going to create an environment where these are not antithetical. They don't challenge each other. I'm losing track here because you prompted me again, right? It is clear. The idea of renewing the mind is not about denying reality, but about choosing hope, about believing that things can change. And so they often do. And you said this very clearly. Yeah, it is inevitable. Right? If you resist it, it'll still happen.
Yeah, and I think in learning through this book and tying it to a lot of what was in Romans and a lot of what is just in the New Testament about the mind, what Paul was saying, it's going to happen. So you best prepare yourself and put yourself in a state of mind that reality changing is positive. And I think there's a lot that we'll also get into later in terms of even just being addicted to this cortisol, this stress feeling, and how when things are going good, when things are great, when you're at the mountain top, you're looking at the valley, trying to prepare for that, versus really fortifying yourself and having this expectation that, okay, it can be good, it can be bad, but I remain throughout and through it. Yeah, and speaking about going from the mountaintop to the valley, our journey hasn't always been smooth.
Yeah.
We really have come from, I mean, when I was a kid, you were and still are my hero. And somewhere along that way, we lost connection, we lost touch almost entirely. And we had to really rebuild from scratch and rebuild something new. And in this new season, I feel like we've actually built something better, not going back to what we've lost. And even what you were alluding to with missing the engagement party, it happened. That can't change. But we have now taken steps to creating something so much more beautiful, so much more engaging. Something that not only changes my life and changes your life, but hopefully influences the lives of the people around us positively as well. And I've seen it. So
No, I couldn't agree more, Tari. Maybe that's a real art of becoming. Letting hope shape the next chapter and not just trying to fix the past. We cannot, right? Yeah, and again, because look, you talked about the state of mind. My goodness, there's a song. I'm in a New York state of mind. I'm not going to try and sing this morning because yes, we don't want to lose people very quickly, right? And when you listen to that song, there is an expectation. I'm in this state of mind, right? In that, to me, is the beginning of everything.
Mm-hmm.
That state of mind, that preparation. It's hard work.
It's not always linear either.
Oh, now what? Yeah,
let me not take us too far.
See, this guy prompts, and it is so beautiful in the sense that you're thinking about these things, of course, in your own way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking them in my own way, but you have an uncanny ability to just use one phrase that then precipitates all these other thoughts that are maybe already there, or some actually maybe that we're trying to figure out.
Indeed. And throughout this journey in the weeks to come, I will continue to prompt, and you will continue to prompt as well. We're going to tackle a lot of big stuff. We have things on AI, or as you like to say, IA, intelligence augmented, tradition, mental health and meaning, careers in that crash, what rises in their place, spiritual doubts, African futures. It's going to be so engaging. I am excited for this.
Yes, and we finally began. Right?
Mm.
When you begin, anyway, we will invite guests.
Mm.
In fact, I was talking to one of the producers here this morning, just before you arrived. I said you'll be one of our guests for sure, because he was talking about certain things, and I asked also one of our producers what their name meant, and they couldn't figure out. And we went into all these discussions about. We'll have we'll have some interesting guests, some even maybe some household names, but also we will have people that you meet on a daily basis. And this is where it is. We want to hear from those, right? We'll have some friends. Some who who have never been behind the microphone, so they'll be very uncomfortable. We've lived,
behind the microphone.
Behind the, yes, so we're comfortable with that. We want your questions too. What's the one thing you wish you could ask your parent? What is that one thing you wish you could ask your child? Or even yourself at a different season of life?
Yeah, please do send us voice notes or a message. Tell us where you're listening from. We want to make a conversation that really includes you, your questions, your doubts, your hope, really fueling and filling that curiosity.
Yes, because if there's anything we know, it's that wisdom grows when it's shared. And hope is a conversation that never really comes to an end.
Yeah, I am really, really excited and privileged to be able to share this time with you and to have these conversations. And my hope is that we're not just making another podcast, but we're creating, we're curating a space for these messy, honest, deep conversations, for all the things that we wish we could say, but never really had the gall or felt like we had the opportunity or time to ask.
Yeah, and for me, I hope that in this season of my life, I can keep learning alongside you and with everyone listening.
Well, in the next episode, we're going to be diving right into the tension and possibility between tradition and technology, how AI is changing what it means to be African, to be family, to be yourself, to be human. We're not promising answers, but we do promise a show of open minds, open hearts, and possibly some pretty good questions.
Thank you for being here for this first step. Remember, what stays? What changes? These are hopeful stories for each season of life.
If you're looking for a way to up your skills, to understand how to grapple with AI and just this modern world, Dr. Simba and myself will be offering some courses on how to interact with AI, on critical thinking, and several other things. some will be pre-recorded and some live. So if you are interested, please do let us know, and check the show notes for where you can find them. Also, if you find this podcast meaningful, helpful, or simply worth your time, we'd be deeply grateful if you would subscribe, share it with a friend, or leave a review. Your support helps us reach more listeners and shape future conversations. We promise to do our best to bring you honest and thoughtful episodes and to listen to your feedback along the way. Please let us know what resonates, what you'd like to see more of, where we can do better. This journey is for all of us, and your voice matters. Thank you for being a part of Generations in Conversation.